পাঞ্চালি ওখানে গিয়েছিলে ওই ওয়েবিনারটা? Actually, another webinar is going on by Computer Science Department. This is the 5th day. So
we have
we are here also and here. So
we have the live program has started.
Okay, thank you. Well, a very good afternoon to everybody. It is a privilege to welcome all of you to this virtual platform for the second days of international webinar on COVID-19, some ethical and social aspects. It is being organized by the Department of Philosophy and the IQAC of East Calcutta Girls College. I welcome you all to participate in these 2 days of exchange of ideas and opinion. And now I would like to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, of West Bengal State University, Professor Bashub Chaudhary. It is an honor, of course, to have you with us, sir. And
thank you so much.
Welcome, sir. It is also my pleasure to welcome the eminent speakers of the day. We have with us Professor Ramesh Chandra Sinha, Chairman of ICPR, Ministry of Human Resource Development, and Dr. Obhik Gupta, Pro Vice Chancellor of Assam University. Welcome, sir. And Dr. Sushim Dubey, Programming Officer of ICPR, Ministry of Human Resource Development. It also gives me a great pleasure to have with us and to welcome our own Principal Madam, Dr. Shukla Hajra, who is an inspiration to us all, and the IQAC member and coordinator, Dr. Panchali Mojumdar, without whose hard work all these webinars would not be successful. Now, before we start with the program, I would request all the participants to please refrain from asking questions in the middle of the sessions. All the questions will be addressed during the interactive session. Thank you. And now I would like to invite our Principal Madam, Dr. Shukla Hajra, to please give the welcome address. Thank you, Madam. Over to you. Excuse me, ma'am, can you hear me? Principal, ma'am? Ma'am, yes, I would like to invite you again to deliver the welcome address.
Yes, I can't hear your words because the net connection, I think it fails for me. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes,
clearly.
yes.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Hello?
You are audible, ma'am.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, then I start. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, what are you saying? Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Good afternoon, everybody. I, Dr. Shukla Hajra, Principal of East Calcutta Girls College, welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Bashub Chaudhary, Professor Ramesh Chandra Sina, Chairman ICPR MHRD, Professor Ovik Gupta, Pro Vice Chancellor, Assam University, Dr. Sushim Dubey, Program Officer, ICPR MHRD, and participants from almost all states of India, starting from Jammu and Kashmir in north to Kerala in south and Gujarat in west to Assam in east, and many participants from West Bengal and other states, Maharashtra. So nearly 400 participants joined this webinar. I welcome all of them on behalf of East Calcutta Girls College. Actually, this is a very situation which we are facing last 75 days, and to save ourselves and to stay safe, we confined ourselves in our home. This is 5th lockdown, and at the same time, this is first unlockdown where partial unlockdown is going on in India. Due to pandemic COVID-19, all over the world, all countries are suffering from lockdown and unlockdown periods. And here, in these webinar, we get many resource person who will talk about the seminar on COVID-19 and ethics and societal effects. I myself share few points regarding ethical and social aspects in COVID-19 period in India. First lockdown, it starts 24th March in India 2020. We all people, including students, teachers, all people and workers, they stopped working and they locked themselves. They start to live inside the house. That time, at the end of the month, salaried person, especially in organized sector, also in unorganized sector, they have got their salary. But at the end of the first lockdown, we saw that daily workers, they didn't get their job. At the end of the second lockdown, we saw that many people who work in medium and small scale industries, they are getting 50% salary or 1/3 or 1/4. And gradually in third lockdown, after third lockdown, it is seen that the number of salaried person or the people who are getting money number is drastically fallen. So this is the question that which was raised by Professor Abhijit Binayak Bandyopadhyay, that life and livelihood. In our country, in India, many people, they work outside the state, especially from eastern parts like Bihar, West Bengal and Jharkhand and all that. They are going to western parts, Maharashtra, Gujarat, or in the southern part, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. So they lost their job and they started to come back. We call them migratory labor. We know that they are migratory laborers. Then we have seen that in COVID period, we practice to keep safe distance, because to arrest the disease, coronavirus infection, we wash our hands, we wear masks, we keep ourselves inside the room. So we keep distance, social distancing started, and we practice till now. But these migratory labor, they start to come to their home, to their own village, or to their small room in Basti or in any part of towns or cities. But we experiences that these people, to keep safe distance, they need quarantine. To maintain the healthy environment, they need some test like that. But we see that they are treated as untouchable. Now, untouchability arises, which is highly unethical, because they actually the people who are working in different construction or other factories, they are the pillars of the development. They earn money, they send that money for their family. So they are the Indians, and we must say that these Indian people, they are not untouchable. They are our Indian brothers and sisters. So some people, they are not getting well treatment from our society, and we must know that during COVID period or after COVID period, these Indian brothers, sisters who are working in some places, they will go back. But this time we have to try to behave properly, for it is a question of ethics that we have to give them proper shelter. And now we, the academician, researcher, teachers, all of us are doing our work. We are discussing different things about the ethics and about the societal effects. And now I think that in this webinar, this type of discussion on society, on environment in COVID period, in post-COVID period, will be discussed, and all of the participants or other resource persons, they share their opinion, and with that opinion we enrich ourselves and we get light to the future days. So I wish every success of this webinar, and this type of webinar is very helpful in this contemporary condition in India, also all over the world. So I again welcome all resource persons and all participants in this webinar, and I thank you again. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope I'm audible. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your insights regarding the problems of the migrants. And now I would like to invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, of West Bengal State University, Professor Bashok Chaudhary, to deliver the inaugural speech. Sir, over to you.
Sir, microphone is off. Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, please unmute yourself.
কিন্তু আমি স্ক্রিনটা বোধহয় ফুল করতে ভুলে গেছিলাম।
Please unmute yourself.
Now, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
I am audible. Okay.
Right, sir.
Dr. Sarkar, thank you very much for inviting me to deliver a lecture on this important subject. The respected principal of the college, respected principal of the college, Dr. Shukla Hajra, the IQAC coordinator, Dr. Panchali Majumdar, Dr. Shoma Chakraborty, Dr. Shoma Chakraborty, all these persons who have taken upon themselves the initiative to start this webinar. We have also guests from outside. Dr. Ramesh Chandra Sinha from MHRD, then my old friend Dr. Abhi Gupta, who is from Assam University, and I remember that we met in Delhi during the Shastri conference, and I think there is one more person, Dr. Sushim Dubey. There are many participants who have come from all over the country to take part in this particular seminar, now a particular webinar. We are used to seminar, now we have been to webinar. From classroom lecture, from the interaction that we used to have, we are now having interaction on camera and on screen, and we can see each other, we can talk to each other on screen, through screen. It is a new technology, and we are using the technology with a lot of skill, and I must say that we are doing quite well. Now, all of you know that we are in a situation which is unprecedented. Unprecedented because this country and the whole world did not see this kind of lockdown situation any time in the history, and this is a new situation, and we are getting ourselves used to a situation that is not normal. In most cases, in old days, if there was no web, we would have gone to our houses and we used to lock ourselves up, and there used to be no connection between or among people or between people. But now, with the help of technology, at least there is some amount of interaction that is possible. At the very outset, I would like to say that there is no replacement for the classroom teaching. It is the best possible thing. There should not be any misconception about that. There should not be any misconception that we are going online, so all classroom teaching should be stopped. We are not talking about that. We are saying that when the classroom teaching is not possible, how can we reach the students? How can we continue our discourses? How can we keep our shops open? How can we keep our establishments open? How can we keep our interactions with different people open? So that is basically the idea. And a very important subject has been chosen today, social and ethical aspects in this COVID-19. Now, all of you know that wearing mask and cleaning hands and not shaking hands and doing namaste, they have all come back. And today we are going everywhere with masks. We are not putting any person to any bad situation because of our health. It is also necessary that if we fall sick anytime, and if there is any chance, any possibility that we are having some kind of symptom of COVID-19, immediately we should bring that to the notice of the law and order authority and the health authority. It is personal ethics. Also, Madam Principal has talked about the migrant laborers. Madam also talked about the reduced salaries and also no salary for some time for people. There has been situation where large number of establishments have closed down because of this COVID-19. There is no business. But the point is, India has done a very great thing. India has saved its people at the cost of its economy. Tell me, how many countries have done that to save its people completely at the cost of economy? And the Indian leadership, Indian people, Indian Prime Minister, Indian Chief Ministers, Indian establishments, everyone should be credited with with a lot of pat on their back, because they have done a great thing. They have tried to save the Indian people from this COVID-19. That is one aspect. The other aspect is that because a large number of establishments have closed their shops, a large number of people also are without jobs, and it is necessary to bring some kind of social security. And in different ways, the government is trying to bring that social security. We must be careful from our personal side. How can we help? For example, from this COVID-19, my university is only 10 years old, but in the Chief Minister's Relief Fund, when it was announced, we contributed substantial amount from our own funds, whatever we collect from our students and this and that, to the Chief Minister's Relief Fund, and no one thought that, this university can do that kind of job. It is possible that we can contribute. Our teachers have contributed their salaries. We have contributed our salaries. And in this manner, it is possible to reduce the problem that is taking place. But the problem will not go completely. It is going to stay for some more time. One Harvard study has said that this COVID-19 problem is going to stay for more than 2 years. Some say there is no vaccine, so we have to live with COVID-19. So all these are bringing new social norms. All these are bringing new ethical norms, and we have to be very careful about those. About the social norm that we are talking about, we need to work in a very, very safe atmosphere, and it is the duty of the establishment, it is the duty of the administration to provide proper working condition to everyone, to its workers. I am not talking the teachers are workers, because teachers are always teachers. And the teachers, when they come, it is necessary to provide them proper working atmosphere. But the point is, our classrooms are small, and all of you know that how the colleges have come up in congested places in Calcutta. You will find colleges which are a 3-story building, and it is within a market. And from the market, there is a lot of contamination of COVID-19 cases, maybe. So in these situations, how do we maintain the hygiene? How do we maintain public health? We have to take responsibility. We need to be careful. When someone is coming, we have to arrange for sanitizer. We have to arrange for soap and water so that they can clean themselves. We have to keep ourselves in a situation where proper healthy atmosphere, hygiene atmosphere is being maintained. Many of my students in my university are first generation learners. Their parents, they have not passed any, they have not gone to school. They are basically, ordinary people. If you see them on the street, you will find that, they do not know anything about higher education. But their sons and daughters, they are coming to the fold of higher education. And when they are coming to higher education, it is necessary for us people to teach them how to clean themselves, how to keep themselves safe, how to provide proper working condition for them, learning condition for them. And also we have to teach them what they should do at home, because they should also go back to their parents and tell them that this is the way you should do and this is the way you should not do. These are all social issues. So in this lockdown that happened for the last 75 days, as Madam Principal has said, we have prepared our people, the government has prepared its people, the whole large population of this country, about the importance of maintaining proper hygiene and health in the locality, in the whole country. Now it is necessary to maintain that. Now, unless you take care of your health, the government cannot come and say that you take care of your health. It is necessary. We are not getting bus, we are getting agitated. We are not getting public transport, we are getting agitated. But the point is, we also should know that it is the limitation of the government also. The government is also locked up in this situation. The government does not know, because the government did not have this kind of idea at all 75 days ago, that this kind of lockdown will come. This kind of problem will come. Everyone was thinking, what COVID-19? I personally thought, that so many viruses are coming, one after the other. SARS came, MERS came, many viruses come. Every year, dengue comes. So what is so great about it? I asked one of my friends in IIT Bombay that, so many viruses come. Why are you so much worried about this COVID-19? He said something very interesting. He said, this is like lottery. Lottery, and if you get it, problem is there is every likelihood that you will die. If you do not get it, you are saved. So that is basically the situation where if we have any germ of COVID-19 in our body, we need to be careful so that we do not contaminate our own people. And who are our own people? That is a bigger question now. I'll come to ethics. Who are our own people? We always think about my wife, my children. That is basically the nuclear family that we have set up. Our own people are basically so many millions of Indians who live far away. Mr. Sinha, Ramesh Chandra Sinha is my own man. Sushim Dubey is my own man. Ovik Gupta is my friend. So the point is, it is necessary to take care of every Indian as much as possible. That is basically the ethics that we need to talk about. How do we take care? It is not only hygiene and public health that we should take care. We should take care about that need. If necessary, many people are becoming jobless. How can we start community kitchen? How can we start cleaning system? How can we give masks to people? How can we create a situation where sanitizers will be given? How can we educate people so that what kind of education? Education means we must tell them it is the necessity of yours that you take care of yourself. You must keep yourself clean. So that is the social issue. That is the ethical issue that we must talk about. We will go beyond. Rabindranath has said so nicely. Rabindranath Tagore, all of you know, said, "Apon hote bahir hoye baire darao." What is the meaning of that? Apon hote bahir hoye baire darao means you stand outside, taking yourself out from your own self that you have. So the point is, we have to really mingle with millions of people, with a large number of people, keeping social distancing. Again, this is a challenge. Keeping social distancing, keeping ourselves safe and healthy, at the same time doing for others. Now, these are all big challenges. And this webinar is trying to bring all the persons from different places in the country. I do not know whether it is international seminar or national seminar. Maybe internationally also people are listening to us with the kind of system that we have now. So the idea is we must take care of people. That is basically social issue. And we must go beyond ourselves. That is basically the ethical issue. And these points have nicely been summarized by the principal. These points will be summarized, will be talked about by our guests who will come to speak after me. It is my duty to inaugurate. And the point is, the inaugural lecture usually does not become very good. Inaugural lecture is simply like, I am privileged to inaugurate this seminar. I am getting old. And when I get mic and when I get this kind of screen, I do not want to leave this mic. So that is a big problem that I have with me. So I will apologize if I get, if I take patience out of you. I am indeed grateful to all of you who are listening to my lecture. I am indeed grateful to all of you who are joining this webinar. I am indeed grateful to all of you who have, who I am indeed grateful to all of you. One, I am getting a message that someone is enjoying my lecture. I am indeed grateful to all of you who have agreed to deliver a lecture in one of my affiliated colleges that is doing very well. I congratulate all of you. I pray to God for your health, for your safety. I pray that your family members are safe and healthy. I pray also that all the persons in this country and all over the world, Rabindranath did not talk about his own country. Rabindranath talked about internationalism, universalism, internationalism. It is not nationalism. When you talk about nationalism and humanism, Rabindranath was for humanism and not for nationalism. So it is a very interesting situation, and we have to come out of our house gradually as the lockdown goes. At the same time, we have to maintain our hygiene. We have to put our mask on. We have to take care of our people who are getting jobless, and we have to do constructive criticism. In this country there is a lot of criticism. I am fed up with criticism. I always look for constructive criticism. Okay, the Vice Chancellor is not doing correct thing. Tell me what the Vice Chancellor should do so that the correction can take place. The Western country talks in a very nice way. Western country does not teach or does not criticize that you are doing wrong. The Western country or people in my West, my friends in the West, they say, if I were you, I would do this thing this way. If I were you, I will do this thing this way, or I would have done this thing this way. So that is the point. That everyone is trying to save the country. Everyone is trying to save the college. Everyone is trying to bring ethical and social aspects in actual practice. Point is, there are still mistakes. Mistakes are happening. We are human being. To err is human. So the point is, we are making mistakes. Please come up with constructive suggestions and criticism so that we can come out of this mess that has been created because of the problem that the humans have created, because of the environmental pollution that has taken place. I think Dr. Abhi Gupta will talk about that. He's one of the best persons who will talk about this environmental pollution, that we have destroyed the environment. That is also one environmental ethics that is important. So all these will be talked about, and I wish that this webinar meets the expectations of a large number of people who have joined. I am thankful to the college. I congratulate the college. I congratulate the principal, the IQAC coordinator Panchali, whom I have known for a long time, Dr. Shoma Chakraborty, Monisha Sarkar, for organizing these things so well. And see how beautifully we are interacting on this Google system. That every time no one is complaining that my voice is not being heard, or I'm not becoming audible, or things like that. See, so this is a platform. Again, we are not going out of the classroom. Classroom is the best possible situation for a teacher. But the point is, when the classroom is not accessible, when we cannot go to the classroom, we will not sit idle at home. We will try to create awareness among students, among teachers, among researchers, among ordinary people, so that we can be heard and we can be reached. So thank you. Thank you very much. I wish the webinar all well, and it is my pleasure to inaugurate this webinar with a lot of humility, with a lot of support from all of you. I always believe that if we stand, we do not stand alone. We stand because of the help of other people. So thank you very much. Take all care, and I hope this webinar will be a greatly successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your best wishes. And we really hope this seminar or the webinar is a success. And your lecture was very interesting. I think everybody enjoyed it a lot. You talked about the individual's effort in various ways in trying to tide over these times, these terrible times of pandemic. And your words will, of course, encourage us always. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Monisha Sarkar. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Dr. Panchali Mojumdar, coordinator of IQAC of East Calcutta Girls College. She will be presenting the theme topic of this evening. Over to Dr. Panchali Mojumdar.
Thanks, Monisha. Namaskar. Welcome to our international seminar on COVID-19, some ethical and social aspects. Now in this seminar, we have with us many renowned, honorable speakers with us. We have with us our respected Principal Madam and our Honorable Vice Chancellor, West Bengal State University, Professor Bashuk Chaudhuri, and the participants of the webinar who have joined in this webinar for this particular topic. I think throughout the period, we have tried our level best to continue the journey of quality enhancement. That is the prime orientation of higher education institution. And in this respect, the Department of Philosophy have done a lot. They encouraged us, particularly in the aspect of ethics, so that in this pandemic period, we can combat the situation and can win over. Actually, in this situation, when we are talking about ethical and social aspects, we must think about our responsibility and collective solidarity. That will encourage us to maintain our self-dignity and at the same time to come over the problems that has been created due to this pandemic situation. And here in this same webinar, Now also we are talking about seminar. Now not this, we are going to organize the webinars. In these webinars, the topics covered are COVID-19 perspectives of an ecocentric orientation, so that we have to overcome the problems that will be related to environmental issues. The topics covered philosophical counseling, health concern, and yoga practices. The topic covers corona pandemic, what to be done, and the topic covers COVID-19 and its ethical aspects. All these arenas shows that when we are using today to make safe ourselves, we are using a number of surgical gloves, masks, etc. to overcome this situation. So the disposal of all these things also are matter of concern for the society also. And at the same time, the air pollution level is low and the water pollution is low, because the people are staying at home and the number of cars or the factories are not running at a normal level. And at the same time, we should think about the economic condition of the people who are in distress, because some are jobless, they are daily laborers, and some are eagerly waiting to join their work, or either in a situation that whether their jobs will be then or not. And at the same time, we have to create the ethical aspects so that people should combat these with collective solidarity, together with media, with civil society, and so that everyone can maintain their standard of living and everyone can combat the situation as a whole. This seminar we have, at the first, I have already mentioned that we have with us many renowned speakers, honorable speakers with us all over the world and all over India. I hope this seminar and internal quality assurance cell always tries to enhance the quality with the guidance of West Bengal State University, so that we can combat the situation for our future generation, because the future generation, our students, they will host the flag of the nation. We are here for them, of them, by them. So for them, only for the future generation, only to save our mother earth, we have to fight with collaborative mode, with so that we can do the collective solidarity. Thanks to all our professors on behalf of East Calcutta Girls College Internal Quality Assurance Cell. We work as a team. I am the coordinator only, but here all the IQAC members, we here work as a team. Not only the IQAC members, our non-teaching staffs, our principal, under the guidance of our principal madam, our students, they are also with us. Thank you all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Panchali Mojumdar. I think one of the most important thing that you mentioned was solidarity. I mean, during these times when we are in isolation, the most important thing is for us to be united and fight against the problems that we face due to the pandemic. Thank you for inspiring us with your hard work throughout. And now I would request Professor Ramesh Chandra Sinha, Chairman of ICPR, Ministry of Human Resource Development, to please deliver the keynote address. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, please. So,
yes, sir, you're audible.
Good afternoon to everyone. Most Honorable Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Principal, and Coordinator Soma Chakravarti contacted me, and without losing a moment, I said yes, and I am with you. So actually, I have been visiting Calcutta. I had been to Shantiniketan for summer course long back in 1974-5. I stayed there for 3 months, and recently also I visited Shantiniketan. I love Shantiniketan. The college has organized this webinar with a purpose, which I can guess. And the Vice Chancellor has also pointed out that in this lockdown period, we cannot go to the classes. But teachers, educational institutions, they serve students. Actually, teacher has got two essential functions. One is to disseminate knowledge, and the other is to create knowledge. In this COVID period, I congratulate the principal and the coordinator and the Vice Chancellor for organizing this webinar, and through webinar disseminating the knowledge not only to the students but to teachers also, because this has got wider scope. So, since I am a student of philosophy, I must introduce myself also. I was teacher in Patna University. I served for 40 years in Patna University. I was researcher in BHU. And after retirement, I have been associated with various academic institutions in India, outside India. I have been fellows of Indian Institute of Advanced Study as well as Ray. There is a distinction between epidemic and pandemic. Epidemic is somewhat localized, but pandemic is a global one. So this COVID-19 or the coronavirus, which has spread throughout the world, is a great pandemic. And we all are facing. So we are shut within four walls. We are maintaining social distance. I must explain what I mean by social distancing. There is social distancing, some of my friends, they say that this is a wrong expression. It should be physical distancing. Not correct way to approach. The social distancing is a concept in which physical distancing has been included. And this terminology has been widely accepted all over the world. And a terminology gets its meaning through its use. So we use the term social distancing in this COVID situation. The thrust of the webinar or the topic is ethical and social aspects of this COVID-19. I understand that ethics is concerned with the norms of the society. Ethics is concerned with the customs. Etymologically also, ethics comes from the Greek word ethika, which means customs prevailing in society. If we say that if we define ethics as science of morality, so morality comes from the word moros, which means norms. So naturally, ethics is concerned with the norms of life, norms of society, because norms are not created in vacuum. Norms, ethics or morality is concerned with the values, and values are created in the interpersonal relationship. Values are not created from the sky, or it is not produced from the earth. It is the interpersonal relation which creates values. So, in this COVID situation, in this pandemic situation, values are casualty. So most of the values, a man is afraid of man. So your principal pointed out the problem of untouchability. So actually this sort of untouchability prevailing in the COVID situation is not the untouchability which was stipulated in our ancient literature. The ancient view of untouchability was due to the social structure or the caste structure in which Sudras were considered as untouchable. But that concept, the ancient concept, the hierarchical caste system in this 21st century, that has been destructured. Now the question of that untouchability is set aside. But a new type of untouchability, which the college principal has pointed out. So certainly values are shattered. Most of the values. So now what is the way out? So naturally, we are not going to, we are, after this virus will die, a new society will come up. So some of the persons, they talk about new normal. It is my thinking that we will not be as normal as we had been. So, being a student of philosophy, I do not only simply say that new normal will emerge. New normal is a concept which I have stipulated. There are three components of new normal. One is the survival. The other is social distancing. And third is compassion. The most important one is the survival. So I should analyze first compassion, because in Buddhism, the compassion has been highlighted. So the Honorable Vice Chancellor also mentioned about Tagore. Compassion means, compassion has got two components. One is empathy and the other is sympathy. Empathy is feeling into and sympathy is feeling towards others. So he mentioned about Tagore, that Tagore contemplated that man should come up from himself and extend himself to others. So Tagore, in a sense, he talked about freedom, and the freedom comes when man extends himself, and one can extend himself through service to others. So Rabindranath Tagore, in his book Religion of Man, stipulates that religion lies in serving to others. So compassion is a great component of the new normal society. So somebody talked about migrant labor, and your Vice Chancellor also. So actually, in Indian society and in most of the society of the world, there are certain people who are marginalized economically, socially. Laborers, they are marginalized. I will use the term, actually, I developed Simant Naitikta. For Simant is a Hindi word, which means those who are on the margins, and specifically it connotes those people who are laborers, but it is not the Marxist terminology, Simon. But the nearest expression of is subaltern. So I have written one book also, Subaltern Morality, a Postmodern Vision. So Antonio Gramsci used this term, subaltern, and for Simant I find nearest English expression. So liberal, so this terminology is different from Marxist terminology of proletariat. In this terminology, women and also those who are besides the circle, they may be economically well off, but they are socially marginalized. So this, I simply mentioned it because the question of the migrant laborers have been raised, and naturally they are in distress, they are marginalized, and they need some sort of compassion. Compassion does not mean it is love towards others. So when we are having compassion, that does not mean that you are obliging anybody by helping or serving them. It is obligatory on your part to serve those who are on margins. And the one component, social distancing, which I have explained earlier, the most important component of new normal society, which we are probably after this lockdown. So the greatest urge is to live, to survive. कुछ दिन पहले हिंदी में हम दो चार शब्द बोलना चाहेंगे कि जब हम जिंदा रहेंगे तो मंदिर की घंटियां बजेंगी, मस्जिदों में अजान होंगे और चर्च में इबादत हो. When we will survive, then only the bell of the temple will ring. So naturally, survival is a great essential component of the new normal society. This COVID has changed the entire scenario, and man, for example, Martin Luther dreamt that black and white will live together. But this dream has been shattered into pieces. Few days back, they have seen that there is a very ugly situation in America. So this COVID has not only affected, this has not affected our economy. but it has affected our social norms and ethics or morality is very much needed to maintain the normalcy, to live in the new normal world. So morality, which can be in Indian terminology, which is known as dharma. So we need dharma. I do not want to explain what is dharma. But in the new normal society, morality is needed. A new sort of morality will come up. New values will emerge, and hope that we survive and excel in our life. So with these words, I congratulate the authority of the college and the authority of the university who has organized this webinar. ICPR is always ready to come forward whenever you remember us, whenever you need us. ICPR can give you not only banner, but it can give you financial assistance, because that is ICPR is doing, and especially for Bengal and for colleges, we have got several schemes. So please, I welcome, I thank you first, and I welcome to you whenever you need our assistance. Thank you very much. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I would like to take this moment to really express our gratitude to ICPR. Without the help of ICPR has helped us in every possible manner. And I would really like to express our heartfelt thanks to you, sir, and your team of members for the help that you have given our college, and especially for this webinar. And in your speech, sir, we came across certain interesting things. You talked about social distancing, and then you went on to tell us how interpersonal relations are being affected by the social distancing which is taking place. And you gave us a new concept of the new normal. You also told us about the importance of compassion. And I would again like to go back to your very first sentence when you started the speech, when you stated, "I am with you." That gives us a very clear idea about the way we are to carry ourselves forward in the society and see that it is a society free from all kinds of terror which the pandemic has brought about. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we come to the technical session, and I would like to invite Dr. Obhik Gupta, Pro Vice Chancellor of Assam University. And the title of his topic is COVID-19, Perspectives of an Ecocentric Orientation. Sir, over to you. Dr. Obhik Gupta.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Dr. Shukla Hajra, Principal of East Kolkata Girls College, Professor Bashap Chaudhary, Vice Chancellor WBSU, Professor Sinha, Chairman ICPR, other distinguished members of the faculty, Dr. Shoma Chakraborty, Dr. Panchali Majumdar, and all the other faculty of this college, and all the participants, students. It's a real pleasure to be here with you. this afternoon, and I'm very much thankful to the college for kindly inviting me to be a part of this very important webinar. And I have been rewarded with a lot of new ideas while listening to both Professor Chaudhary and Professor Sinha, and I look forward to more interactions with you. So I would now like to move to I have a PowerPoint presentation. So I would just like to move to that now. Let me try to place it. Okay, a window. Somehow I'm not getting it. My folders are not coming. My folders are not coming in the window.
So just open the PPT first in the Microsoft PowerPoint.
Yeah, my PPT is already, I had opened it and I have kept it this thing. Can I just open it directly? It's already minimized.
No, not directly. It won't be shown. Just click on You Presenter at the right bottom side of the screen.
Okay, present now. I have one present now. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now select the window. Three options will be there. Select the window.
Yeah, after window only, then I'm finding one share, but I'm finding the Meet. It's a kind of Chrome application window coming. My folders are not showing. But yesterday I could see that.
No, but that means then you are clicking on the window option, no? Not on the Chrome option.
Yeah. No. I'm clicking on the window option only. But the Chrome is showing.
PPT, only Chrome is showing.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yesterday it did work fine.
So this means your PPT is not open.
The PPT is open and minimized.
Can you close it and then reopen it again?
Okay, I can do that. Yeah, okay, I've closed it. Yes, I have reopened it. Do I minimize it?
You minimize it. Now go to the Meet panel.
Just a minute. Minimize. Okay, I've minimized. Now go to the same panel. Try window.
Yeah.
No, this. Yeah. Okay.
Just click on it and press the share button.
Okay, it's now showing my folder in which it is contained. Is it showing now?
No, you haven't still opened the PPT. Open the PPT. Double click on the PPT.
Yeah, it is opened already.
No, I think you have just close this folder. If the PPT has already been opened, close this folder.
Okay.
Again, press the My Present button.
Okay, go to window again.
Yes.
Yeah, but now it's not showing at all.
No,
only
sir, I think you are not opening the the PPT file has to be opened in the Microsoft PowerPoint.
Yeah, it's opened in the Microsoft PowerPoint, very much.
Why it's not?
Piyush, let me help.
Right, sir.
Professor Abhi Gupta ji, please don't minimize it. Just make a PowerPoint show.
Okay, I can do that. Okay, now it's not minimized. Yeah, now it's not minimized. Should I try? Go to a window again. Okay. Yeah, now it's coming. Right. Yeah. If I minimize, it's not coming. That's correct. Okay, I got it now. Should I go for the share? selected and then share?
Yes.
Share button?
Yes.
Below I'm getting share. Is it coming now?
Fine.
Is it fine now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. So this is my presentation. We have heard about various interpersonal relations, human beings among humans in the context of the COVID crisis that we are having. I'll be also moving into the natural world, into the non-human world a bit. I'm looking at COVID-19 also as an eco-philosophical crisis, besides being a pandemic, besides being a medical crisis, but also being an eco-philosophical crisis, it offers scope for reorientation and restoration, provided we are able to reflect on it and look at it. Now, we all know that SARS-CoV-2 or novel coronavirus is the virus that causes COVID-19. We know that it's a zoonotic virus, that is, it is transmitted from an animal host to humans. Now, the thing is that something unique? I would say not at all. And also, people are sometimes telling that it sprang a surprise on us, on the world community. Here also, I would like to differ. I would say that no, we were waiting to be surprised, and that's why we are surprised. Because we had enough of theoretical predictions from the scientists. One of our founders of ecology, Charles S. Elton, I'm showing you here, what did he say? That besides the nuclear bombs and the wars, which are also explosions, ecological explosions also could threaten us. So many years ago, he said that it may be an infectious virus like influenza, or a bacterium like bubonic plague, like that. It could be anything. But the main thing, the fundamental part which he pointed out, that it means the bursting out from control of forces that were previously held in restraint by other forces. Now, I think this is very important, that what we are doing with these other restraining forces, which are releasing the forces which in turn are affecting us, like the pandemic. And also a more focused, direct observation was by, again, an epidemiologist, I suppose, and a medical practitioner in the JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association. And he predicted that as we go into more, we clear forests, remote forests, grasslands, we destroy wetlands, and so on and so forth. We increase our urban population in very dense pockets, and we undertake a lot of global travel. And then obviously such infections are going to spread. And as Cohen said, that the wild beasts of this century and the next are microbial, not carnivorous. We won't have tigers and lions picking people up, but it will be more of microbes. So also, like, this is not the first time that is, zoonotic virus has affected us. We all know about 1918 Spanish flu, which was of avian origin, means the virus had come from birds, H1N1 virus. And that had 500 million infections and 50 million deaths worldwide. And perhaps it's good to know that it was called as the Bombay plague or Bombay fever, and killed 12 to 14 million people in India, highest in the world. In fact, India was very, very badly affected. And in 1957 and 68 also, we had two more avian, influenza virus affecting us, maybe albeit in a smaller way. 2009, we had H1N1 virus, swine flu. Okay, then we had SARS-CoV, severe acute respiratory disease in 2003. And that originated from the palm civet in southern China. 2012 onwards, we had the MERS-CoV, Middle East. This is from camels. So we had two more coronavirus, the CoV. One is SARS and the other is MERS, one from civet and the other from camels. And then we had Ebola and the Nipah viruses, of course, more localized, but again originating from bats, pigs, non-human primates. And in 2005, in between, we had a bird flu epidemic. Now, that was not spread among the humans, but some human, crossovers were reported. But fortunately, it did not spread among humans. It was a touch and go situation. Using a kind of cricket analogy, I could say it just missed our off and leg stumps. And so the present SARS coronavirus 2, the most likely origin is a bat species, as well as the Malayan pangolin or the Sunda pangolin. Now, this is a very interesting area because we have in Asia about 4 species of pangolin, 3 or 4. And the Sunda pangolin found in Malaya and all, if you look at it, this is the IUCN status. If you see in 1996, it was in LRNT, means LR means least concern, very low concern, sorry, LCNT. NT means near threatened, means the numbers were enough. Then it moved to the higher category where it is more endangered. Because in this IUCN red list scale, if you climb up the scale, then you are going towards extinction. It's a kind of a doomsday scale. So endangered in 2008 and critically endangered just the stage before going extinct in 2014. Means between 1996 and 2014, so many thousands of this pangolin has been, killed and sort of taken to the international market for meat, for scales, all that. It has brought it to the CR status. Almost the same thing with Chinese pangolin, which is also found in India. In Northeast India, we find the Chinese pangolin. And here you can see it was a means of a vehicle of economic growth in a particular country and along the Belt and Road Initiative. And that has highly increased the demand for this species. And this is also in the critically endangered range. And after almost finishing off these 2 pangolins, now the international trade is focused on the Indian pangolin, which is having its range from Pakistan to almost the eastern India. And so, and also when the 3 species of pangolins are also getting a bit less in number, now the African pangolins are being killed. Now, what I would like to say here, it's not simply pangolins. Of course, in this case, for SARS-CoV-2, pangolins might have been, it had come from pangolins, might have come. But many more species are being hunted, captured. So wildlife trade, wild meat consumption, and its use in traditional medicine is very much linked with these zoonotic diseases. And we have to do something about it. So should this practice continue? After we come out from the COVID-19 crisis, maybe in a 1 year or 2 year, will it be business as usual? Now, at the legislational level, we definitely have CITES, that is the Convention on International Trade of Endangered Fauna and Flora, an international treaty. All these pangolins are in Appendix 1, that is the highest priority has been given. So, and IUCN also has given a very high priority, as you have seen, critically endangered and endangered. That means a lot of international focus is there on these species. But nevertheless, in spite of that, these species are appearing in the wet markets of Southeast Asia, particularly in China. And that is creating a lot of problem for us. And WWF has estimated that about 1 million pangolins have been killed in the last decade for consumption and for their scales in traditional medicine. So this wild meat or bush meat consumption, trade is one major issue. But there is another issue which is cultural, because many tribes in this area, they kill a few of these animals, maybe 1 in 6 months or like that, and they take it. It's a part of their cultural practice, a part of their food repertory. But that doesn't usually take a species to the brink of extinction. So here we need a lot of regional cooperation, dialogue. So in this we come to an ethical area where we have dialogue. If we can say that dialogue increases, and obviously, this sort of wild meat problem could come down. But here we need about 8 to 10 Asian countries to come together and put an end or drastically reduce wild meat trade and consumption. They must have to arrive at some kind of a treaty to stop wild meat trade, and also regulate traditional medicine based on wild animals. And at the same time, because of its cultural connotations, we need very widespread awareness campaigns and livelihood support, because sometimes it's for very poor people, it's a kind of livelihood to hunt these animals. so it must provide livelihood support to reduce local hunting. But that's not very serious. Much more serious is when commercial large-scale trade is involved. Now, will our decision makers take these steps? Because right now, Southeast and East Asia, they appear to be the epicenters of zoonotic diseases. All the diseases which I was talking about from 57, all have originated in these areas. And then there are broader issues. Now, suppose if we think of if we think in a very, very anthropocentric way, if we think of human interests only, is it really safe to try to rest our economy on such pillars? Because very often, as I said, in the Belt and Road Initiative, and it has been kind of propagated that these could be acting as a very good source of economy. So I think this is a very wrong approach, and then we have to give up this approach. And pangolins just provide us one example. But we are killing other animals, and then we are destroying entire ecosystems like rainforests, grasslands, wetlands, rivers, coral reefs, you name any, and we are destroying that. And I would again recall the words of Lederland when he said that, well, the more and more the remote places you destroy, the chances of such viruses infecting you increases, and it increases in an exponential manner. So in this context, what are the possible ways out? I mean, I'm not talking about structural measures and all that, but I'm talking more about the change in mindset or the strategies, how we can reorient. One is, of course, how we are conserving the animals. What are our strategies in conservation? Now, right now, we have been following a highly prioritized conservation strategy. Means, since our resources are limited, we are trying to prioritize areas, we are trying to prioritize species and select them for conservation. So we mostly protect threatened flagship species. We have this IUCN system. We give more emphasis on critically endangered or vulnerable species, give less emphasis on low risk or near threatened species, because their numbers are many. Till they graduate to become vulnerable or endangered, means still they are facing the threat of extinction, we don't seem to be paying much attention to them. And also we protect them in protected area networks like wildlife sanctuary, national park, or biosphere reserve. And also we give a lot of emphasis today on global biodiversity hotspots. Now, what are these hotspots? There are about 36 in the whole world, and they just cover merely 2.4% of the Earth's geographic area. But they are the real storehouses of most of the endemic species. Endemic plants means plants which are found only in a very, very small area. Say like the pitcher plant of Meghalaya, that's an endemic plant. So it doesn't occur outside Meghalaya or some small area. Like that, we have many endemic plant species in the world, and 50% of those are confined to the hotspots. And 43% of the endemic species of animals are also confined to these areas. So that's why, we concentrate all our resources, most of our resources in conservation to these hotspot areas. So these are, of course, very, very good approaches, and right now they have to be followed. But again, there is a lot of anthropocentric bias in these approaches, and perhaps it would be good to take a relook at these conservation policies. And here I would say that an ecocentric approach will be a pragmatic ecocentric approach will be that we continue to take care of these endemic and threatened species. We continue to invest a lot of money and attention on the hotspots or in the protected areas, but we also have to take some preventive strategy where we also conserve the less spectacular and least concerned and near threatened species, because they also, and also from a justice point of view, environmental justice point of view, and also from an environmental, from an ecocentric ethics, I think we have to give attention to these species also. They also deserve to be taken care of, not only the endangered species. So in a society, for example, we just don't care of our sick components, sick people only, also healthy people. So we have to take care of both sick and healthy components, and then we can have a more inclusive approach. And so in my perception, that during the COVID pandemic, we have learned, we sort of, the COVID pandemic asks us to take a more ecocentric approach to conservation, because we have observed, all of us, through videos or personally, that both high profile species, so rhinos have been coming and roaming in the streets, elephants have come. That day I was attending a seminar, and somebody from Bangladesh said that dolphins were swimming, in the Cox's Bazar beach. Nobody has seen for a long time. Penguins have come out on the streets of South Africa, but also less spectacular species, the so-called near threatened or least concerned species like wolves, civets, squirrels, lizards, countless birds. All of them have been entering inhabited areas. And also that they are reflecting the improvement in our air, water, and soil quality. Already in some of the earlier talks, somebody said that yes, our air quality, water quality, and soil quality, they were improving. I think the principal, Dr. Hazra, was pointing out. So what I think at this point, that I think why they are coming like this? Yes, because we have withdrawn. We are basically, I think, a dirty species, because we can live in polluted environments. We can live in very, very dense, polluted surroundings, but they cannot. So they were in hiding. And now they thought of coming out, because they thought, well, now it looks much cleaner and less noisy, and therefore we could venture out. Now it's fit for we people to move around. So I think that's why we are seeing so much of wildlife around us. And this is a kind of a pictorial model which I wanted to show, just very simple model, that how could we have a kind of a concentric but more inclusive strategy of conservation, where we have a lot of focus on the priority species inside protected areas, then outside protected areas, even in urban areas, then protect the community protected sacred groves, which we have throughout the world. In India, we have many sacred groves. Why not, conserve them? Why not have green buffer strips? So take a post-COVID approach to approach conservation within a more broader perspective. That's what I would like to advance in my presentation. And if we take a more holistic approach towards conservation, we are not only going to protect biodiversity. We have seen the problem of migrant workers, a very, very burning issue. I wouldn't like to call them migrant. They're not migrant really. It's India, and we can move from one state to the other. They are just, should I say, outside state workers. Now, many of these people, I know from my personal experience in my area in Assam, that many of them have left and gone to work outside, not because it's their preferred mode of livelihood. Some might have gone, but many have left because there is no local livelihood security, no food security, and that's why they have left. So once we look at a more inclusive model of conservation, we save our local ecosystems, then we also ensure local food security, we provide a livelihood safety net, and also a buffer stocks of natural capital. And when we have such crisis, temporary market depression or collapse in the wake of pandemics, then at least we have some kind of a base for these people to fall upon and somehow and survive under against this trying circumstances. And on an ethical philosophical plane, it can provide a lot of eco-psychotherapeutic support. I have a friend in California who is providing now ecotherapy to people, because a lot of people are feeling, depressed in this lockdown condition, and they want some therapeutic support, and he is providing psychotherapeutic support, where nature is becoming a source of peace of mind. Because once we are able to identify with nature as partners and participants rather than as outsiders and exploiters, then we can really derive a lot of pleasure and peace of mind from nature. And this partners and participant, this very concept was given by a Dutch philosopher, Zuyers. So these ideas could be pretty useful. And The other thing is perhaps economic reorientation from the economy of violence, what Kumarappa termed it, today's economy that we have, as opposed to that of permanence of an economy of nature. Now, really, do we need to take a fresh look? I'm not an economist, so I'm really stepping into very, very, what should I say, risky domain. But I have been reading a lot of ecological economists, and it seems, according to them at least, that GDP as the sole measure of growth and development has really lost its relevance. It was a relevant indicator when it was introduced in the 40s, because it signified increased economic activity. That time it was needed because the environment, the natural capital was not depleted at that time. But today it has led to increased depletion of natural resources, and inadequacy of GDP has been also pointed out by The Guardian in its analysis of the impact of coronavirus. In the context of coronavirus, GDP perhaps lacks reliability. It lacks reliability even under normal situations. And it would be even more inadequate in the uncertain scenario of a COVID-ravaged world. That's what some economists have been pointing out, because it's not taking into account the destruction of the natural capital, by which I mean the natural resources, the ecosystems, the local resources. It's not coming into that. Even if you save money for, say, pollution control, that will reflect in the GDP, but that's not for a good cause. And even Stiglitz, the Nobel laureate economist, has pointed out that actually GDP is not reflecting people's perceptions of their own well-being. Whether I'm living a good life, GDP is not really telling me that. I'm not going into the details of this. There are many alternative indexes now. One is, of course, followed in Bhutan, happiness index, but there are many other indices also which are being applied, and many of them have been found to be, at least in conjunction with GDP, these also should be taken into account. So this is a kind of reorientation perhaps we need in our economic thinking. And finally, ecocentrism we can interpret in many, many ways. It could be coming in the form of self-realization, where the self becomes extended. We can extend ourselves to include the other human beings, the basis of compassion, what Professor Sinha was referring to. I think it's very, very important, or Professor Chowdhury was also referring, taking care of the other human beings, going beyond family. But it could also go beyond that. Arne Naes, his idea of deep ecology, where the self encompasses everything. And even in Indian philosophy, we have a lot of that. Ashoka had practiced it in his kingdom. And we have enough examples of that, and where you could look at eco from the word oikos, which means our home. What is our home? It is our ecosystem. So we have to look at that, the smallest units, and look at the local, and perhaps balance it with our global, thoughts and ideas and global spread of knowledge, and that way find a kind of marriage between the two to have the best results. And how can we sustain this vis-a-vis our technological innovations? And there we have a very big role of the developed nations, because they have to transfer the life and environment saving technology, because these technologies, which takes a lot of resource to develop, a lot of money to develop, it is with them. So they have clean coal technology. We have dirty coal technology. So if clean coal comes to us, we can save our environment and we can save our economy both. And this was envisaged actually in the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. But followed, to some extent, maybe not to a desirable extent. So we also need a kind of a planetary philanthropy on from the developed world. So a compassion, an extension of self beyond one's own narrow interest or even one's national interest to a global kind of philanthropy that perhaps would have to come if we have to survive as mankind, as Homo sapiens, as the whole human species after the COVID crisis, after we emerge from the COVID crisis, but face other, very, very more imminent crisis. of like that of economy and all that. So these are some of the ideas which I wanted to share, where we identify more with nature and we go for more of ecocentric approaches. And before I conclude, I'm just tempted to quote a few lines from Walt Whitman, my favorite poet. We are nature, long have we been absent, but now we return. We become plants, trunks, foliage, roots, bark. We are oaks, we grow in the openings side by side. We browse, we are two among the wild herds, spontaneous as any. We are two fishes swimming in the sea together. We have circled and circled till we have arrived home again. And I'm sure there are many in the audience, of course I've seen, and there are many who are either Bengali or understand Bangla. And I quote a few lines from Tagore. পথেরও ধারেতে ফুটিল যে ফুল জানি জানি তারা ভেঙে দেবে ভুল গন্ধে তাদের গোপন মৃদুল সংকেত আছে লীন. Nature tells us a lot of things. During this COVID crisis, perhaps we are able to understand more of it. When we see nature all around us, when we see nature approaching us, we have banished nature from our lives, from our policy, and perhaps in the post-COVID scenario, I know it's a utopian hope perhaps, but still I would hope that we have more, ecocentric ideas, nature-centric ideas will be incorporated into our policy globally as well as nationally and locally. So with this hope, I would like to conclude my talk. And again, thank you very much for kindly inviting me to this seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was really a very engrossing and informative talk. I mean, we came across so many ideas today. You talked about the threat which is no longer from the wild animals, but the threat from these tiny microscopic creatures, and how the destruction of even the remotest possible places can increase this threat. So conservation of species is also one topic which you talked about, which was very interesting. And the ecocentric approach to conservation. You talked about the absence of pollution, which has found all kinds of species walking all around us. We find them in streets and on the roads in areas where they could never venture out initially. And I think the very interesting part was your eco-psychotherapeutic support, where nature provides the peace of mind which is required during these times. It is very necessary. So self-realization is, I think, the main mantra of this hour. Thank you, sir, very much. And I hope we develop this holistic philanthropic approach towards nature and towards all the beings around us. I mean, it was a really very informative and a very interesting talk. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And now, the final resource person of today's session will be Dr. Sushim Dubey. He is the Programming Officer of ICPR, Ministry of Human Resource Development. Sir's topic is COVID-19, health concerns, the philosophical counseling and yogic practices. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much. And I would like to begin with paying my all respect to our Honorable Chairman, Professor Ramesh Chandra Sinha Ji, Chairman of Indian Council of Philosophical Research, New Delhi. Of course, the host college, Dr. Shukla Hajra, Principal, East Calcutta Girls College, who has permitted to organizing for this thought-provoking and, of course, solution-seeking this webinar. And, of course, the inaugural speech, we have had wonderful talk and giving the various dimensions of social and ethical problem by Honorable Vice Chancellor, West Bengal State University, Professor Basav Chaudhary ji, and predecessor to me, Dr. Abhi Gupta ji, Pro Vice Chancellor, Assam University, giving the global and philanthropic global economy and ecocentric development advice or our hope for future to deal with such kind of situations which are emerging here in this pandemic COVID-19. Before beginning, I would like to tell about, since many our viewers are attached with us, associated with us, watching us, few words about the Indian Council of Philosophical Research. It is a apex body under the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. It is for the purpose of the promotion of research in the field of philosophy, and it is a sister council to the Indian Council of Social Sciences Research, Indian Council of Historical Research, and of course sister body to UGC also. The council has been promoting and giving funds for various kinds of schemes, starting with the fellowship for the research, of course seminar, conference, workshops, lectures, of course travel grants, and World Philosophy Day, periodic lecture, Indian Philosophers Day, and of course forthcoming International Yoga Day, publication subsidies, and of course publication subsidies for the journals and other schemes. With this few introductory work about the council, which have been working in the promotion of research in the philosophy since 1981 and going to complete its 40th, now it is the 40th anniversary years of ICPR. Coming to the topic, that is the topic of this international webinar on COVID-19, some ethical and social aspects. Interestingly, I would like to begin from where the earlier to me, Professor Abhi Gupta ji has concluded. Philanthropic global economy and ecocentric our approach. This is true that these are very much required, and these are the ideals. Either we go to the UNESCO or to the UN or to the corporate sector, which is putting these things ultimately for their philanthropic purposes. I have taken them as a beginning of this, my exploratory speech, because here what the philosophy works, here what the philosophy imbibes the idea, and here how a person, or as a person trained in philosophy, becomes a friend to all, including individual. He is a friend and philosopher for all living being and living creature, and this is what we have been teaching in the philosophy as the Aham Brahmasmi, where the person's and his consciousness is expanded in a way that he is so compassionate, he is so lover of all. We have in the Buddhism the Bodhisattva concept, where he is for alleviating the sufferings of all humankind, and before and prior to that, he is not aspiring his own personal nirvana. Of course, I mean to say that in the growth of development, in our pursuance of development growth and hoarding of all necessary physical or this economical approach, all our cars and all our physical needs, that we have come across with the situations there we have discarded not only the environment but ethical and physical and social concerns, several aspects. And in this last 30 years, particularly in India after the 1990s, where the open economy has caused the arrival of corporate sectors, and liberalization of the economy has definitely has given so many our conveniences, material conveniences, but in the wake of that, erosion of ethical and social, that is, here we have felt that humanities and arts and aesthetics has gone lesson in the personal and general life of the people. And here also we have found that a problem of integrity has arisen, which has caused the problem of corruption also in the society. And if we say that there is an environmental pollution, if we say that we are less concerned with the migrant laborers, there is at some extent is the cause of this eroded values in our value system, where we have become less concerned about the feelings, needs of other persons also. In the very beginning of this lockdown, our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Honorable Narendra Modi ji, has appealed to all that where the persons are there, they should be taken care of that. Had this situation been taken by our people who are capable of taking care of these people at the most compassionate way, at the most feeling or conscious way about the problems of the other, perhaps the situations of this migrant laborers could have been not at this larger scale which have now been experienced of. Again, I would like to come back. Philosophically also, we have been teaching our students morality, moral ethics, moral philosophy, moral values from the very beginning of the schools. But this has gone less in the last many years, and their revival is very much necessary and essential for instilling and installing the values in the society. Ultimately, we have come again here with all these kinds of problems. How we cannot say it is automatically a philanthropic society will become possible. How can it be without the values? How can it be without the ethical norms? So philosophy was, from the very beginning, it was the wisdom, based on the wisdom, it was a love for wisdom. And what was the wise? It was not wise to have all the physical needs. It was not in the long term. Our Upanishads said, Shreyas and Prayas, two things, two very clear pictures, two very clear ideals in the society, what is immediately is good for us and what is ultimately good for us. Immediately it might have been those values that we may be cozy, we may be comfortable, but ultimately those values, those aims, those ideals which are beneficial not only at the end from our own selves, but to our next neighbor, but to our family, but to our locality, but to our city and society and a world at large. Of course, so this is what has been called the wise, and in our saying also, we have been continually, this value has been cherished for the sake of individual sacrifice should be sake of his own self, for the saving the one village, and one village should be sacrificed for the sake of country, and country for the entire world and cosmos, like so. We have been cherishing these values in our society, in our Indian culture for the thousands of years. Again, I would like to come back because I have given the topic for my talk here as the philosophical counseling and yogic practices. And I would like to keep on concentrating this idea and relating, of course, ethical and social aspects, which is the topic of this international webinar, how the philosophy and how the yoga can be interrelated, and what we can look upon positively, expectatingly from these two, philosophy and yoga. Of course, I do not mean to say a migrant labor who is hurrying or who is in the road, who is in the path for his home, that a philosophy can directly help me or yogic practices can be advised him that he can be satiated. Of course, this is not the situation, but behind to that situation, how this situation has caused, as earlier I have told, that is the erosion of values, that is the erosion of why he has been why he has been pushed into such a kind of situation. Of course, that could have been, if thought about at a mass level, that could have been in the consciousness of all of us, we could have definitely taken care of this in a different ways. And of course, again, I would like to take the example of that migrant labor who is hurrying to his society, who is hurrying to his village or his native place, how philosophical thinking or yogic practices can help me. I am taking very extreme example. Of course, definitely and very much positively, whenever it is our all duty, whenever we come across with such a situation, we can deal with the person. Here are the camps, here are the quarantine centers, here are the places where such kind of people are there. It is not the limited responsibility of ours that we are sitting and discussing about the problem of others, or we are making ourselves that we are concerns of the others, but what the Bradley, Western philosopher, has advised us, that my station and my duties, what at the most we can deal with and we can tackle with. If we are not doing, we are not authentic with our thinking. And I again would like to invoke the philosophy of existentialism, which has influenced the Europe and America in last 70s and 80s years, and how this philosophy also came into the existence, that is the existentialism, which was on the back of Second World War, where the Jean-Paul Sartre, sitting in the war room, he realizes the problems of world, that it is the disorientedness, it is the loneliness, it is the distress that is the world is all filled about. And also it was advised what is our at the role most in the society, or at the most role as an individual, as to be authentic, as to be what at the most we can do. I am just taking the note on the existentialism. And also I would like to invoke the Wittgenstein also in 1921, where the Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus, the most celebrated text of linguistic philosophy, was brought out, where he was sitting in the war room and thinking about that world is a state of affairs, a state of facts, because the world as a totality has become finally experiencing to him, or experienced by him, as a totality of facts, because in this COVID-19 situations, we have cut from the physical world, and we have been confined into our own houses, in our own rooms, and again the world has become the totality of facts to us. And from physical worlds, we have come across the virtual world. But I have invoked these two philosophies because both of them have concerns about the authenticity and authentic life, which has been discussed in the Western philosophical world for dealing or tackling or advising as a course of action or course of living together, living in this philosophical ideas. Anyway, I would like to come back to the Indian tradition. I have been dealing with the in this my speech about philosophical counseling. What exactly is the philosophical counseling, or whether any counseling is possible? Because earlier to my lecture, or of course in other, we have been listening to psychological advice psychotherapy also in this COVID-19 situations. Philosophical counseling, we have the word in the Upanishad mantrayate. It comes like Atma mantrayate. Philosophy also, you see, it is the reflection. It is our own reflection for our own self, for our own individuality, our own experiences, our own realization. If we delimit to our own, then it is our own. If we open it, then it is the experience of external world, other living beings, or all living beings, or all creature. It depends upon the expansion of our consciousness at the extent it can reach. Here, what is the word as the Brahmanubhuti, Brahmand is gaining meaning. And of course, it is what is the realization at the most in Indian philosophical system. I am telling these two things because an attitude towards the selfishness, an attitude towards the curtailed feeling or not attending to the others also, because one when is less energetic, this energy includes the ability not only ethical, not only social, but financial, economical, and all those kinds of aptitude and abilities which can be gained through the energetic social, energetic person, energetic agent. And philosophy is what it is making possible to expand the consciousness, is instilling the energy or energy levels. See, when we are practicing, or we are in the realm of Indian philosophy towards our aim for realization of the self which is in the form of urja or chetana itself form of the energy, and expansion of energy is becoming the global. And this expansion is self-sufficient to uplift our own existence, to uplift our own limitless, our own activity, to unlimited our activities. These are not the merely word. Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore have been invoked here, and so many our living philosophers, our ideologues, they are there, who have from time to time addressed to, who have time to time have come up in the form of this living existence and addressed to the society, addressed to the person, and they are the living models for others to follow. Anyway, I was just talking about the possibility of counseling, or how the counseling works in the philosophy. I again would like to take the word reflection. This reflection, this reflecting upon our own situation, I would like to begin with a lone example of philosophical counseling with our own self. Like very beginning of this lockdown, we have confined to our room, and this confinement is to be felt like we are at one place, we are disoriented. And you see, one more thing comes into our reflection, that we have been tuned to channelize our own self more and more. In a way, we can deal and tackle with more and more tasks, say from 2 to 4, 4 to 10, 10 to 100, and from one city to another to foreign to again back. And this channelization has made ourselves so much active that suddenly coming into one room, it is difficult to tackle and adjust with our own self. Here what the philosophy can advise you, here by the reflection, we can immediately feel that we are disoriented, we are uncomfortable, we feel that how to accommodate with our own channelization of higher energy level activities to this this again stopped all kind of activities. Let me give you one example, that we have been training a kind of furnace which was active, which was tuned for producing 2 objects, then 4 objects, then 100 objects, and suddenly say there is no object for use of this furnace. This is the same our energy level which has ignited so much. How it can be tuned, how it can be taken for the positive activities, for the creativity when we are confined in the room. So this reflection immediately gives our internal situation, our own mind, our own physical body activity, where our systems like endocrine systems like our physical systems like our circulatory system, we have been going to the university, to the market, and all the places we are not able to go, and we are doing only the mental activities, say on the mobile. How we can adjust our own self for our own health purpose. One more thing is important. This word health is also important, because I have taken this word health in my topic. Health is coming from the word healing. So this healing which was there with our so abound activities, where this will be adjusted. And if it is not adjusted, then what will happen? So much problem can be experienced individually. We have been talking about the migrant levels, but here we are feeling it. How to adjust our own self first while confining in the room. Here the role of the yoga becomes important. While doing the asana, that is the sthira sukham asanam, it stabilizes our own self, because we have to be first composed within our own self, then we can address the problems of the others. So, and the next step, the pranayama, which is the prana and dimension of it. Prana is the vital energy. This is what is ultimately fundamental, which is causing, in our Upanishad tradition, it has been told that this is the energy within our own existence, within our own body, which is one of the 5 pranas. This is the prana vayu, which is the vital force giving all energy and causing our all activity and movement. So a dimension of it, or its expansion, that is the pranayama, and there are several or different kinds of pranayama techniques have been discussed in the yoga, and not in the Yoga Sutra of the Patanjali, but the Hatha Yoga Pradipika and the Gheranda Samhita, which have talked about the ways of pranayama. Anyway, I am not going in the details of them, but only telling about this pranayama. While practicing it makes the balance of hypothalamus, it makes the balance of left and right brain, because it is attached with our dayaswar and vamaswar, which are the breathing from left nostril and right nostril. But when we say the English word nostril, it seems to be very ordinary. But while practicing it balances the psychosomatic. Its effects are balancing to our own personality, and I have taken these words for the purpose where we are disoriented. It gives the soothing feeling, it gives the normalized feeling, it relaxes the stress, and it composed our own self, our own personality, our own feeling, and making our own self feeling with the positive energy. Because when we are in the state of anxiety, when we are in the state of distress, negative hormones or hormones which are causing some negative chemical reactions, they are produced automatically in the body, and their effects, if this situation continues, then the body makes the tendency for secretion of these negative kinds of hormones, and here the problem of disorders occurs in the body. We don't realize it. We become tuned to distress our own self, and in the long run, this disorders becomes disease, and it might be any kind of disease. depending upon where we are hurting our own self, or where we are becoming weak for our own self. So I have taken one example of philosophical counseling on yoga practice in the form of individual immediately experience situations after this COVID-19, and this individuality is included in the society also. And let me come again with the social or society perspective also. From the social points of view, we have several kinds of problems which have been faced. From the very beginning, I would like to come where the people have come across with this news that this is going to be lockdown, and it might be from the few number of days to n number of days. People started hoarding the essential commodities in their houses, and again here the problem of fear again is the problem of existence that has propelled those kinds of tendencies. And I have already spoken about in the perspective of existential philosophy, in the perspective of Indian philosophy, where the person is feeling, or where the individual consciousness compassionate towards the all, and in that way perhaps this problem can be minimized and needs of others. I would also like to invoke Mahatma Gandhi ji, who has given the ideology of trusteeship also in the Bhagavad Gita also, where equitable distribution in the society was advised, and the advices are also always there, but they are not practiced. This is the problem. So in all times, in all spheres, philosophy or philosophical practices, and what I mean to say, all persons, all individuals should be given the training of philosophy, or they should actually, the interest in the philosophy is automatically. As and when we come across the wise decision and we grow for the wiser to wisest, we automatically venture into the realm of philosophy, and it is for us to choose Nishreyas through the philosophy and further grow into the field of philosophy. Anyway, I was talking about the social problem and equitable distribution, where the people were hoarding from this problem to the another problem where we have realized the problem of pollution. It has been discussed in the beginning of this talk also. This pollution, we have negatively realized this COVID-19 situation, that we have been our endeavor to go upon to our journey for development, have made our all living dependency on modern methodology, modernization, factories, and so on and so forth. They have been causing pollution, and at some time, at some extent, it was felt by me maybe after 50 years, because in Delhi the situation is like that. You cannot have without AC either in car or at home during the time of summer, and this summer was very peaceful without AC. So before 30 years, this was not the situation. Before 35 years, the Maruti 800 was so much comfortable here. Of course, I am giving one example. We have done in the pace of our development a situation where we have become our uncomfortable in our own individual. So we need to rethink this reflection of our own tendency. Our own philosophizing ability has given to us to understand where we are pacing in our development for materialistic tendency, because ultimately person has to be satisfied, person has to be contented, person has to be peaceful, and individual has to be blissful. Overall, after gaining materialistic or without it, we have been coming across so many social media messages also, where people are very much dancing and merrymaking in in a hut also in this COVID-19 situations, because they are peaceful, they are bliss. Such kind of ideas were there and should be promoted also, that there is no bounding, there is no limitation for the need, but there must be curtailing for the greed. So moral philosophy and ethical philosophies are important, and they should be brought into the focus, and they have come on to the focus in our this scenario. And lastly, I would like to bring upon to the idea that have been given and promoted by our Honorable Human Resource Development Minister, Honorable Sri Ramesh Pokhariyal Nishank ji, from Apada to opportunity. This word he has given. And this opportunity from the Apada, that this has given the possibility of virtual reality in education in a form that we are gathered here and we have been talking and we have been discussing about the problem and concerns, ethical, of course, social, in this COVID-19 situation. This has also made possibility of teaching, although the Honorable Vice Chancellor has stated that it cannot replace the classroom teaching, and nowhere it is contended also. But we have initiated the possibility, and we have initiated the success of discussions on multi-level platform, and it has diminished the physical distance to our personal distance or the social distance, but of course possible the meeting together on one platform, there the Google Meet that we have been meeting. So this COVID-19 has given the possibility, COVID-19, this from Apada to opportunity, it has given to sympathize ourselves for the social concerns, reflections towards the problems which were not realized earlier to this lockdown, but during the lockdown, and we have been, as invoked in the very last lecture and from where I started, philanthropic global economy to ecocentric its approach. And I would like to end my talk by inviting all of you that we should not constrain, we should not curtail, or we should not delimit our philosophical ideas. We should come across with the philosophical counseling through the form of reflections, through the form of yogic techniques. Of course, I did not go in detail of them, but we are equipped with all kinds of these ideas for several centuries. So it is different thing that psychology has become separated from the philosophy since 70th century, and it has gone to the experience, and same with the sociology also separated from the philosophy, but they are all generated from the philosophy, and philosophy is there always to boost and give immunity to all these subjects from the form of wisdom, from the form of pragya, from the form of our entire brotherhood, our own love and affection and compassionate to all our living creature. And this is where I would like to end my talk, and my all namaskar and jai hind to all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was quite an interesting talk where you really talked about the compassion which is required nowadays because of the erosion of values which we are facing. And you also told us about the philosophy of existentialism. You talked about the expansion of the consciousness which is required now, and the importance of reflection, because we are going through a period of disorientation. And you talked about how important health is at this very particular juncture, the importance of yoga, especially pranayama. And this, according to you, is the means of attaining a good health and of discarding all the negative hormones which are at this moment maybe in high secretion in our bodies. Thank you for telling us that philosophy should be the way of our lives nowadays. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your valuable time. Now I would like to request Payal Pakrashi, because some of the participants have questions. I think we have a question for Professor Dubey. Payal, if you can please conduct this session where we can take up the questions which have been asked.
Hello, the questions are there on the screen. Monisha ji, the questions are there on the screen.
We can't see. It's in the chat box.
Yeah, it's in the chat box. I have put the question in the chat box.
Okay, please read it because I think there are
the first
3 to 4 questions.
Yeah, just 2.
One question is, how can we utilize? I'm sorry, it disappeared again.
Okay, so Monisha ji, yes. Will you read out the questions or do I do it?
Yes, you do it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Take it.
The first question is to Professor R.C. Sinha. It's from Chondrima Bhor. The question is, sir, do we have a new concept of freedom too in this changing paradigm? How are we be said to be free in this pandemic-struck world that favors social distancing? The second question is from Rajiv Behera. As we know that human ecology is already damaged by COVID-19 pandemic, so is the eco-psychotherapy helpful? The third question is, how can we utilize the indigenous knowledge to prevent COVID-19? This is by Indradeep Ghosh.
Payal, please mention that by Indradeep Ghosh to Dr. Dubey.
Yeah,
okay.
The last question is to Dr. Dubey from Indradeep Ghosh. The question is, how can we utilize the indigenous knowledge to prevent COVID-19?
Of course, indigenous knowledge to prevent COVID-19. Indigenous knowledge, instead of that, you say the Ayush, our own practices, our Ayush department has been active for traditional way of dealing or a solution for such kind of health symptoms which are there with this COVID-19 infections. Of course, the very basic of Ayurveda, it is dealing with the advising how we can be more immune. That is, before becoming ill, it gives solution to become strong. So immunity is a factor where Ayush advising, either you say the form of our desi medicines, their kadha that has been advised, that we can utilize our indigenous knowledge system. We have the means I am telling about my personal experiences, because this SARS COVID-19, we have other kind of SARS which have been enumerated in just last lectures, other problems which are concerns with the throat and throat infections. The tulsi, the holy basil leaf, it is very useful, and a very beginning of this means feeling uneasiness in throat, if it is taken, I am not telling it will tackle you, but I am advising my personal experiences only. Of course, not COVID-19, but the similar situations that have been causing either in the transition of this weather during the time of summer to winter or other situations. holy basil leaf at the very beginning, if it is taken in the empty stomach in the morning, it gives immediate relief to the throat. And of course, the way of life that the Ayurveda advice and the pillar of Ayurveda is based on Nidra, Brahmacharya, and Ahar. So actually, Ayurveda doesn't like that it is giving the pill and you become the okay. It is the practice which should be there in our daily practice in our life. And the principles of Ayurveda, the word itself is meaningful. Ved means knowing. Knowing is just not the information. Knowing is that we have realized what are the factors, what are the living essentials of Ayu or life. So with these, actually, it opened the horizons of all kinds of Ayurvedic sciences or yogic sciences, which we should be equipped with. And in this way, we can deal more with our battle, our war against the COVID-19. And individual examples I have given only the holy basil leaf. Ayurveda is dealing with the immunity, is the life sciences, where we are mentally, where we are physically. It also talked about the Panchakosha, from our Ahar to Ananda, where it can be boosted, where we can have the boost. From in that way, we can utilize our individual knowledge system. It instills the kind of our confidence, our expansion of consciousness. See, the consciousness is also very important. I am also giving one small example, but it gives the very, very big and vast indication. Your ability or your conscious or your consciousness state not to give up. This is what that uncompromising ability for any kind of disease or any kind of defeat prevails, and persons become more immune, because our problem starts from the mind, our dispositions compromised, and we feels that we are ill or we are unwell. So consciousness or dispositions, uncompromising, not giving up tendency makes our health healthy. And also for the longer life also, these are the factors which have now been enumerated in Western world, but they were there in our Indian tradition for past thousands or many thousands of years. Thank you.
Okay, there is one more question from Shashwati De Mondo to Professor Dubey. How can philosophy help the problem of migrant laborers?
This question is to me?
Yeah, it's to you, sir.
Of course, I have taken this point and I have taken the extreme example that a laborer which is on the road and he is hurrying on the bicycle for his native place. Immediately philosophy, perhaps if we say that you do the pranayam or we say you reflect upon it, of course, I mean not to say like this. While I have meant or I have addressed that the consciousness which is experienced or which is to be realized, the compassionate or the other consciousness people, their problems, their sufferings, and alleviate to that. That is the collective responsibility of all. And if that is in more number, the labor which is going on the road and people who are besides the road, if they are feeling, perhaps there may not be the so number of deaths or so number of distress or that we have come across that the persons are in they are going in unending and going restlessness, that will be lessened. In that way, philosophy is useful. It is philosophy is again not a pill of any capsule that is given and it becomes okay, but it is tending towards the as a whole, as a cosmos. It is dealing with and since this pandemic situation, lockdown was immediate, but pandemic situation that we have been listening from the month of January, that this has been caused. How much we have been, or say, for the problem of laborers, it has been from the very beginning, and in corporate ethics also, in corporate philanthropy also, these policies have been taken and it has been appealed by the Honorable Prime Minister also. My only contention was that philosophy helps to sympathize with the all kinds of problem with the people who are lower in our consciousness and who are upper in the feeling of their consciousness expansion. And I am talking about the bridging them from straighter from lower to higher end for sympathizing their problem. This is where I would like to stress there, where I would like to see the philosophy is working, but not immediately the person who is wandering or who is heading towards in the state of distress. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. The question, and I'll read out the question that I've repeated once before. The question is from Chondrima Bhar. The question is to Professor R.C. Sinha. The question is, do we have a new concept of freedom too in this changing paradigm? How are we set free in this pandemic-struck world that favors social distancing? Cannot hear you, sir.
Please repeat the question.
Yeah. The question is, do we have a new concept of freedom too in this changing paradigm? How are we be set free in this pandemic-struck world that favors social distancing?
Okay. So first of all, I must thank. The question is relating to the new normal society. We had concept of freedom, and I mentioned also that Tagore, in his Religion of Man, the book, very celebrated book, has contemplated that freedom lies in extension and going out of your individuality. Because freedom has got one metaphysical dimension, the other is the empirical dimension. So he has explained both the dimensions. So if you are one with the infinity, then you have got metaphysical freedom. So he has explained the relationship between finite and infinite. On the other hand, if you extend your personality, if you extend yourself, and in sadhana, he has mentioned that the God is there where God is there where laborer tills the land, and the path makers are breaking the stones. So naturally, if you are one with the suffering humanity, if you serve the suffering humanity, that is a new concept of freedom. The new concept is not a metaphysical concept of freedom, but it has got, even in Buddhism, we find the concept of arhatship or the Atma Dipo Bhava. But that concept has been changed in Mahayana Buddhism, where Bodhisattva Bodhisattva or enlightened person serves others. He is not confined to his own liberation. That is a great contribution of Buddhism, that it is stipulated the concept of Sarva Mukti. In Vedantism, we find individual liberation. Man is liberated, man is individual. But in Buddhism, we find the concept of Sarva Mukti. In Sri Aurobindo's Delight Divine, also we find the concept of Sarva Mukti, and his reasoning is that if that is the use of getting freedom of a man when the entire world is under bondage, and how we can get liberation or freedom in imperfect world or in the imperfect nature. So naturally, he talks about holistic or integral concept. He talks that a man can get freedom when nature also becomes supernature. And he has given a technical term, Gnostic being, a liberated man. Shankaracharya has also conceived the concept of Jivan Mukti. So freedom in the new sense, in the new normal society, which I conceived and presented. So in new normal society, metaphysical concept of freedom is set aside. And in one sense, serving to suffering humanity and extending yourself, get out from your individuality and serve others, and you will get a sense of liberation or a sense of freedom. That is what I can submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question from Dr. Pranab Kumar Dash of Sri Chaitanya College to Professor R.C. Sinha. The question is, what should be a lockdown model in future be if any such conditions arrive like COVID-19?
What will be?
What should be a lockdown model in future be if any such conditions arrive like COVID-19?
So in that way, I am not a futuristic. I can be conceiving only as a student of philosophy. In future, God forbids that we should not face lockdown again. But if the situation, that is a hypothetical question. But in present situation, we can contemplate. But after sometimes there will be a lockdown. We don't know. And I am not a futurology is a science. But predicting something without some basis, that will not be very much appropriate for a student of philosophy. So futurology is okay. It has got on the basis of some facts and some figures, we can stipulate something. But in future, such situation of lockdown comes, then what will happen? I don't know exactly. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. There is a question to Professor Gupta from Rajiv Behra. As we know that human ecology is already damaged by COVID-19 pandemic, so is the eco-psychotherapy helpful?
Basically, eco-psychotherapy is a thing which is now being thought of because a lot of people, during the lockdown or now the restricted movements, they can't mix with friends, they can't meet people, or some people need more, they're feeling the problems of isolation, staying at home. Some people are living alone. So particularly in Western societies, this is affecting many people. And here, again, you can't really go out now to say a national park or wildlife sanctuary. You can't do that. So whether it's a kind of training our own mind, suggesting even with a potted plant or a small plant, even if nothing else is there, we could have if we could build a kind of a rapport, a kind of appreciation of nature, or in the small birds which might be visiting our place, then we perhaps could draw some kind of, mental strength and a kind of feeling of oneness. That's why I was again talking about like what Professor Sinha referred to, like extending the self. So I think it's very important that extending the self not only to other people, but even to nature. And then if we have an extended self like that, perhaps in such situations we'll be much more composed than, some people could be at this moment of time. So that was the whole idea.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. There is one more question from Purobi Das. She did not address to whom she wants to ask the question. The question is, in this pandemic situation, how can we control our ego with everyone?
How can?
Payal, unmute.
Payal, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. In this pandemic situation, how can we control our
Payal, please unmute.
In this pandemic situation.
Shall I answer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Or our honorable chairman perhaps willing to say something?
I know you can say. I will listen.
Okay. Thank you, sir. The question is, let me tell in a very clear voice because it was not audible while being repeated. In this pandemic situation, how can we control our ego with everyone while we are staying at home for a long time? Well, the first part of the question, that is, how can we control our ego? This is the first part, and I have discussed upon while in the talk that this pranayama technique is very much useful. And while you practice the pranayama, it ultimately takes away your ego, which is the final, also the outcome of pranayama, and as it has been stipulated in many our yogic texts and traditional Indian courses also, that the stage of prana in Brahmanda and stage of prana in Brahmanda and physical existence, the persons attain the highest attainable life or beyond the life. This is what is the culmination of pranayama and pranayama practice. But let me again come back to the ego. While practicing the pranayama, it balances our own existence, our own feelings, our own emotions, and I have told that this both our mind, that is the psychosomatic structure, and our left and right brain, its balances, and also the balances of our hormones and balances of endocrine system. So the problem of ego automatically, I don't say it will go away, but it diminishes because it again based upon that how again we ignite it and how again we have made our tendency to create our state of ego or state of mind of ego within ourselves. So how deepen it is the way longer we have to tackle it through the practice of pranayama, but of course by practicing it immediately it will go. Now the later part of the question with everyone, perhaps it is conceived in this question that there is an ego with everyone, and I don't think that there is an ego with everyone, but it may be our ego, our clashes with others whom we are not compatible in our behavior or in our tackling or our attitude of ours to them or their to ours. Of course, again the pranayama, it calms down our tendencies. It instills the positive energy, of course, because all yogic practices and Indian ways of life based on the satvikta, and this sattvic energy is creative energy. It is a positive energy. It is the expanding energy. It is the problem solution tendencies which are developed in the characteristics in the personality of a person. So as a whole, by practicing this from either the form of yoga as a whole, I am not telling one practices, or the Ayurveda or Indian tradition or our Indian ethics, they instill and they address to the problem of individual ego, to elimination of ego, to the egolessness, or where the person feels a state of unitary consciousness with all, which is the final experience or realization in the philosophy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your response. We have one more question from Indradeep Ghosh. Traditional food habit, lifestyle, and immunity in reference to COVID-19. How can we together theme in this pandemic situation?
If other speakers are giving answers, otherwise in the last I will answer.
So please answer.
Let me again read the questions loud so that everybody knows, because the very complex question it is and perhaps relates with the government also. What are measures from recovering India from health and economic shocks after COVID-19 pandemic situation? Very vast, very large, and a big question mark from the government to economic sectors, to corporate sectors, to industries, to society, to the social workers, and of course all of us in the form of this COVID-19 situations. We have taken the topic that is social and ethical concerns. Measures are so many and so on and so forth, and government as a responsibility of governing the country has taken, and they have been doing, and they are there. And I would like to delimit our own responsibility that we can address. And I have already taken that my station and my duties. And I have also expressed about, or I have brought out the authenticity. These are the things what at the most we can do from our own situations where we are standing, to be honest, because I have also invoked about the morality and ethics, what is natural to us, what is immediate to us, and what is propelling us to do. Maybe it is a form of giving food to nearby people who are in the shelter, who are in the road, or whatever way we are immediately equipped and capable of. Let me delimit to these situations, because by expanding this, if a person is a corporate house leader, then he can be addressing in more ways that he is equipped with. He is with many tools and many ways and to deal with such a situation, and going with the government and doing the of course the government has been doing from its own infrastructure and ways. And particularly there cannot be there can be innumerable ways to enumerate here this may be the measure, that may be the measure, that may be the measure, but I would like to philosophically delimit my station and my duty honestly and authentically to address it, because it finally rests with our own satisfaction, our own that what we were able to do, we have done it, and this satisfaction that everybody ultimately requires, and this is the satisfaction which satiate our efforts also, and philosophy is giving the dimensions also where we can satisfy ultimately. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your response. There is one question from Indradeep Ghosh. Traditional food habits, lifestyle and immunity in reference to COVID-19. How can we together theme this in this pandemic situation?
Shall I answer? Perhaps it is addressed to me also as I read. This is written in the last to me.
Yes, sir, please do answer.
Of course, the most part of this already I discussed, that traditional food habits. Traditional food habits in our tradition, it has been talked about the Annam Brahma. Taitri Upanishad talks about the Annam Brahma, Annam Bahu Kurvit, Annam Na Nindyat, and Anna is that which in the form of that giving all energy to us, and here Anna has been equated with the Brahman. So all the foods I keep in this category, and those habits which are there in the form of this body is our own temple where we are residing, and we are not abusing, because this I have also talked about the equitable distribution of resources, and our traditional not that anyway let me also, I have also invoked about the Gandhiji, that food habits, sattvic, tamasic and rajasic ahar, that has been discussed, and achar, vichar, vyavhar, ahar and vihar, these also have been discussed in Ayurveda. These are which are forming the lifestyle, and immunity, as I have talked about the 3 pillars of Ayurveda, they are there, which are in a giving finally what kind of they are not immediate, but in a long way they are molding and they are shaping our own understanding of our own life, our own existence, our own habits, attitudes, and of course the others. Philosophy, let me invoke also the form of Samudrik Shastra. Samudrik Shastra was there in our traditional system, whereby seeing the characteristic or say the physical structure for the other things, we realize what could be the food habits or what could be the that has constituted the physical structure of a person, and according to that it's mental habits. So all knowledges were there, and COVID-19 situations, of course, they are pandemic, they are accidental, they are sudden emerged with us and caused the hampered the systems that were in running, that were in the society, and they have been dealing with all our lives. So basically, when systems have been hampered, so whole our civilization is disturbed, and this traditional food habits addressed with the individual to the family, to the society, and we need to look upon it, we need to again practice it. They were there, we need to realize it, and then we need to propagate it. So I invite all our viewers and listeners to again look upon it, and to at some extent practice it also, and those who have practiced it to propagate also it. And I also would like to thank at giving me opportunity to address this question, and how much I have been success to provide the answer, but solution definitely is there in if we really practice it. So thank you again.
There are a few more questions. So do we continue or do we call an end to this session? Shoma, whatever you say. Shoma, hello.
Hello?
Yeah, there are a few more questions. So do we continue or do we call an end to this session?
Panchali will say something.
I think the question will be unending and we have a limited time period. So may I request now all the speakers that can we conclude, sir, now? Sir? Shoma? Hello? Hello,
Yes,
Shoma? Yes.
Yes, Panchali.
Yes, I think it's a time for conclusion.
Okay.
Because there are so many questions. But if the speakers want, then we can continue. But otherwise, I think that it's time for conclusion. So, sir, now.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Panchali. Can I take over now?
Yes. I want to request you to conclude the session and to give your vote of thanks. Okay.
Thank you very
now
much.
I would like to request Dr. Monisha Sarkar to give vote of thanks and to conclude the session.
Thank you.
Over to Monisha. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So we have come to the end of our first day of the international webinar. And on behalf of East Calcutta Girls College, I deem it a great honor to extend a heartfelt gratitude to all the honorable delegates who have blessed us with their erudite presence. I express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir Professor Bashab Chaudhary, for his constant encouragement and support. And I must convey profound appreciation and gratitude to Professor Ramesh Chandra Sinha, Chairman of ICPR, Ministry of Human Resource Development, our distinguished speaker for gracing the occasion. We remain extremely grateful to Dr. Obhik Gupta, Professor. He is the Pro Vice Chancellor, as we have already been introduced, from Assam University, for the useful information which he shared with us. And a special thanks to Dr. Sushim Dubey. I think I should take this opportunity to really thank Sir from the bottom of our hearts, because not only for the vital nuggets of information which he shared with us, but in reality, without his active support, this webinar might not have materialized at all. I would also like to express our profound gratitude to our principal, Madam Dr. Shukla Hajra, who leads by example. Her constant support and guidance is there for us, a source of inspiration. She is a powerhouse of energy. And we are grateful to her. Because of her, we can conduct all these webinars. I also take the opportunity to thank Dr. Panchali Majumdar, IQAC coordinator, for her sincere efforts in making each program a success. We really appreciate your dedication and hard work, which enhances all the programs which are conducted by our college. I would again like to express profound gratitude to all the participants, without whose presence the first day of this international webinar would not have been a success, and extend my thanks to all our colleagues of East Calcutta Girls College, especially to Dr. Shoma Chakraborty, for her unrelenting hard work and sincerity, and to all the department, and to all the members of the Department of Philosophy for their contribution in making this day a grand success. Finally, the most important person, I would like to thank Sri Piyush Porimo, who has constantly helped us behind the scene with his technical support. I mean, we could conduct this webinar very smoothly only because of Piyush ji. Our heartfelt gratitude to you, sir. And now I wish you all stay safe, stay healthy, and we will again come together tomorrow for the next day of the international webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you, sirs. So I think we come to the end of the first day.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.